The Cardinals are back at the Vatican, attending meetings ahead of the conclave later this week. It will be the largest in history, with 133 Cardinals taking part. A two-thirds majority is needed to elect the next pope, meaning the winner must secure at least 89 votes.
And the conclave begins on Wednesday. So to help us better understand this election process, we're joined by Heidi Schlump, a senior correspondent for the National Catholic Reporter. Heidi, thanks for joining us. Always good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a very exciting week for Catholics worldwide.
It is, and I think it's an exciting week for people who aren't familiar with it. We were talking before we came on camera here about how the movie The Conclave has all of a sudden stirred up this interest in this. So we have some basic questions for you because there's so much involved in this process. And the first one is, does the Pope have to be a cardinal?
Well, most of the lists that you're seeing in the media, including at my publication at ncronline.org, show a list of frontrunners, and they are cardinals. But the rules, the old rules used to say it could be any baptized male. And the key word there is male, no women popes for the Catholic Church yet, anyway. Now the rules say that they do have to be a bishop. So the only cardinal who is a potential to be elected who was not a bishop first is Cardinal Timothy Radcliffe. So if he were elected, he would have to be quickly ordained a bishop and then made pope.
Another common question, does the cardinal need to be present to be elected?
Well, not necessarily present in the Sistine Chapel. The only cardinals that go in the Sistine Chapel are the electors, so those are the ones under 80. Theoretically, they could elect a cardinal who's over 80, so he would not be present. Or it is possible sometimes that if a cardinal is sick, they do not go into the Sistine Chapel for the voting, and they could be voted for, I guess, while they're back in the residences doing their voting outside the Sistine Chapel.
So can a cardinal actually reject the vote if he gets elected? And has this ever happened before?
So the first thing that the dean of the College of Cardinals will say to the person who is elected is, do you accept this? And I suppose they could reject it. I don't know that that's ever happened in recent history, but I do know that some cardinals have let it be known among the other cardinals that they would reject it as a way of moving the votes to someone else. And reportedly that happened in 2005 when Cardinal Bergoglio, who eventually became Pope Francis, was kind of taking votes away from Cardinal Ratzinger, who became Pope Benedict. And he let it be known that he would reject it, so to move votes towards Cardinal Ratzinger.
One more question. When does the Pope choose his name?
Well, my guess is that any cardinal who goes into the election maybe has in the back of their mind what name they might choose if it were them. But it's immediately after the election is determined that then they are asked, what name do you take? Now, the history of this is a little bit interesting in that popes didn't always change their name. So for about the first 500 years, they didn't do that. And the first one was someone who had the name Mercury or the name of a Roman god. So he changed his name, and then that practice started to take off. It's been since 1555, I believe, is the last pope who didn't change their name. My colleague in the Catholic media, Father James Martin, has been doing some speculating about what some of the potential names might mean. And it's kind of fun. One of the first things you learn about a cardinal, or a new pope, I'm sorry, is the name that they've chosen. And often that says a lot about what they mean to be as a pope.
Yeah, very representative, as we saw with the last pope. Heidi, thank you so much for helping us break this down, and I'm sure we'll be talking again as we progress. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.